This is an introduction to a new concept we have in delivering nutrition to children through the school meal program, basically. So I'm going to just run down some of the highlights and introduce you to this whole thing. My name is Brud B-R-U-D Hodgkins, and I'm the guy who uh, co-founded this thing we call Indoor Organic Gardens of Poughkeepsie, and we grow microgreens for health. So we're growing vegetables for people's health versus vegetables for people's hunger. So anyway, so the project is getting a very positive response from virtually 100% of the people that I've mentioned it to. And that's kind of the first start is to go to some people that I know that are in the school nutrition food services business and say, what do you think? And virtually everyone I've spoken to has said, okay, tell me more. And so this is what we're using as a vehicle to tell you more. So my network, I have hundreds of people in my personal network. And there we go. Yeah, it was Devin. You want me to start over again? Or you can edit that out of there. Okay, my network has hundreds of people in it, and virtually all of them have some direct connectivity and or interest or awareness of K through 12 students. This includes my 6 children and 18 grandchildren. So virtually all of us have some contact or connection with K through 12 students. And so this is going to be something that's of interest to most people. So of all the functional components of our lives, having a K through 12 student is universal. And we are aware and concerned with the trending wellness metrics being broadly publicized. And so it's no news to know that school kids are not healthy and they're getting less healthy as time goes on. Another issue is we've got all kinds of other things that are getting our attention these days, from finance to politics and our own wellness, and they kind of come and go. But the wellness of children just keeps on coming. So young people get older and they get healthy or they get sick or whatever the case is, and it kind of rotates. But there's always a new crop. There's always a new crop of people that are coming along. And it's in the form of school kids, basically K through 12. The obvious priority to deal with this crisis is wellness for the children versus how to diagnose, treat, and cure them, and how to keep them well in the first place. And so this is not a project that's going to take sick kids or sick adults or sick people in general and make them well. The emphasis is on prevention. And so we want to catch it when you're younger, and the best way to cure a disease is don't get it, obviously. And so the news is flooded with ads and synthetic drugs that can treat sickness, especially in adults, but that's not what we're looking at. So our focus is going to be on having healthy kids beginning with K through 12 and keep them healthy. And we know that healthy kids grow up to be healthy adults. It seems to make sense. So not surprising, and the reality is that there's not much monetization in the prevention space. And that's been a headwind over the years. And so people that are trying to prevent disease, there's not a lot of monetary incentive to do that. Meaning that if you have a good, healthy diet and you're healthy, then you don't contribute much to that wellness space. So what are some universally accepted causes of the crisis? Consumption of food that's laced with toxins from the modern yield-enhancing growing methods and devoid of wellness-dependent nutrients. And so one of the problems is the food that we're eating. There's a lot more toxins in it. And the reason for that is the way they're growing plants these days. They got them literally on steroids. And so a second issue would be the lack of awareness by the children of the contingencies of all unhealthy diet until it's too late. And so the kids don't know. If you went to a sixth grader or an eighth grader and said, by the way, what effect does your diet have on your long-term health? They wouldn't have any idea. And so part of the project is to bring awareness at a very early age on the connection between what you eat and your health and your wellness. And so we're going to stop trying to teach the old dogs new tricks. My metaphor here is smoking. So for many years we worked with the smoking issue, and basically we tried to teach adults not to smoke and tell their kids not to. And only when the kids got engaged and became part of the problem and they became part of the solution, and all of a sudden 10-year-olds and 8-year-olds no longer smoked. And they grew up to be 20-year-olds and 30 and 40 and 50 years who don't smoke. And my kids don't smoke. And my whole family smoked when we got going, as they'll remind you, certainly. Same thing with seatbelts. We try to encourage people to wear seatbelts. Adults aren't going to change their habits, but if you teach the kids that seatbelts are mandatory, then the next thing you know, everybody's wearing seatbelts. So what can we do to address this crisis is the question. And so there's two things that this thing is based on. One of them is we're going to teach the children the consequences and the options regarding their diet. And so that's part of this process is going to be academic. It's going to be in the classroom, and we're going to make it kid friendly. We're not going to do it as if we were writing a paper or presenting a paper for the National Institutes of Health. And the second thing is that make the choices available that address the problem. So it's one thing to say, eat more broccoli. It's another thing to provide the broccoli to the kids, and so they have a steady diet of it, or whatever it is for vegetables or fruits. And so we can tell them what to do, but if we don't make the product available for them that's convenient and the fact that they'll actually take it, then it just becomes, so much conversation. So how's the school nutrition? And the name of this project, by the way, is School Nutrition 2.0. And how do we accomplish this objective? So we all buy into the fact that school nutrition is a problem. And so now we have to, and we've worked on it for years and years. And now I think we have come up with a protocol that will work. And so a child-friendly series of academic exercises and information that provides a basic understanding of wellness-enhancing choices that we teach in the classroom, including actual growing of plants on windowsills. So we think eating whole plants right out of the garden has a lot to do with wellness, especially for children, but adults the same thing. But again, we're focusing on children that are already healthy, and we want to keep them healthy by making sure they have access to fresh plants, fresh vegetables. The basics, for example, that we'll be teaching will be photosynthesis, a really simple concept if you know how it works. If you don't, then it's very complicated, but kids can understand that. We'll talk about toxins, we'll talk about nutrients, we'll talk about dead food, digestion, absorption, bioavailability, inflammation, things like apoptosis, so on and so forth. All things that certainly a 10-year-old or so, or even younger, will be able to understand. And we're going to put it in such a way that they'll do it. And so back when I was in medical school, when I was about 7 years old, maybe 8 years old, my mother was the only professor in my medical school, and she said something that said, "One rotten apple spoils the barrel." And I wasn't sure what she said at the time, but if you eat bad food, it will go into your body and it will contaminate and infect and inflame other cells in your body. And we need to know where those rotten apples are. And once you get the rotten apple in your body, for example, the key will be that you got to get it out. And diet, nature has medicine in it. The old saw that said, let food be thy medicine. The other issue here would be the staff that's required to deliver this product to the students, and it's relatively minimal. And so this is something. So let me take 2 seconds here and show you what it looks like. And so what we're talking about here is, if you see in the background, that's actually lettuce. But if we took that lettuce and picked it right out of the garden and fed it to a kid, they would get tremendous quantities of and potency of nutrients. The problem is it's not practical to feed kids vegetables in that manner, as if they would eat them in the first place. And I know there are some kids that love fruits and vegetables, but for the most part, they don't. And so this product looks like this. And so we've taken the product that you see in the background and we've converted it to a powder. And so this powder is what we will be serving the kids. And we'll be serving it at a rate of 1/4 teaspoon per day. 1/4 teaspoon. They won't even know it's in the food, by the way. And 1/4 teaspoon of this, and in our case, it's broccoli. It's a combination of broccoli and radish, actually. But in that case, 1/4 teaspoon is equal to about a cup of raw, mature plant. And so it might be a test to get a kid to eat a cup of broccoli, but they can certainly get a 1/4 teaspoon and you can put it on their pizza, you can put it on their spaghetti sauce, whatever. It goes in a lot of different things. And so we're going to provide a recently developed science-based, clinically studied version of broccoli, radish, microgreen, stage sprouts. And so this powder that we're looking at here, and we actually call it ground. This is ground broccoli, and we're going to add it to the food. So it's 100% broccoli, daikon, radish. They're cruciferous vegetables. It's certified organic. We think the other thing that's very important when kids are eating food, that it can't be loaded with toxins. It means it must be grown without the use of herbicides and pesticides and insecticides and whatnot. Very important, especially for young kids. It's got to be living. And so most of the food that we eat, a lot of the food we eat is over-processed. We'll call it ultra-processed. And in the process, we actually kill a lot of the nutrients, and we deactivate the enzymes. And so this powder that we've developed the process to grow and dehydrate, we do it at 95 degrees. And so we can dehydrate this broccoli at 95 degrees within 24 hours of harvest to 8% moisture. And 8% moisture allows it to be shelf stable. And so when you take a 1/4 teaspoon of this stuff, it's like eating 1 cup of raw broccoli right out of the garden. That's the point. The benefit cost metrics, that's the other question that we have is, okay, this must be really expensive to provide something like this in this quantity. And so here are some of the metrics. So a 1/4 teaspoon 4 times a week is what we're proposing. And we serve it 4 times a week on the lunch meal, ideally. And we add it to the regular school lunch, and that'll deliver the nutrition, as I said, of 1 cup of mature broccoli. The total will be basically a teaspoon a week, and in a teaspoon, there's 5 cups. And so we put a 1/4 teaspoon of this product, incorporate it in the school meal. And in the course of a week, it'll equal a total 1 teaspoon, and that'll be equal to 5 cups a week. And so that's equivalent. 5 cups of this powder is equivalent to about 1 pound of raw, mature broccoli a week. So the question that I've asked people is, if we could get the kid, the student, to eat 1 cup of broccoli a week, how do we think that would affect their health over the long term? And pretty much people would say, good luck if you can get them to eat 5 cups of broccoli a week. That's a cup a day average. Okay, so the wholesale institutional grade certified organic broccoli, if you could get it, if you could get certified organic broccoli, it would be about $3 a pound. That's what the institutional price. You pay $4, $5, $6 a pound for raw organic broccoli in the supermarket. And plus you got to pay the shipping, the handling, the preparing, the serving, etc. And that's even if you can get the kid to eat it. So we had 5 cups of raw broccoli right out of the garden. The question is, how to get a student to eat that anyway, a 10-year-old. So SN2, the School Nutrition 2.0, we're calling it, has a grower. We found a grower. We are a grower, actually, who's agreed to provide the equivalent of a pound of fresh, right out of the garden, ground broccoli for 80 cents. And so the week, it's 80 cents a week per kit. It's 20 cents per day, basically. And that's within the guidelines of school meals anyway, in terms of vegetables. The comprehensive published clinical studies available on the National Institutes of Health indicate the benefits of microgreen stage broccoli and its signature phytocompound. And this is a key term that people will learn about. There's a phytocompound, a plant-based compound called sulforaphane. And if you look up sulforaphane, and NIH, National Institutes of Health, you'll get something in the order of 3,500 published clinical studies on sulforaphane. So keyword sulforaphane, SULFORAPHANE, to Google that. And so based on the science, clinical studies, and years of anecdotal advice from mothers declaring, eat your broccoli, preferably organic and right out of the garden, we expect to see measurable improvement on many levels, from sick days, energy of these students, their attitude, the participation, etc. There are many studies that have been done on healthy children are much more productive than kids. And what we've done over the years is make sure they're not hungry. And that's certainly important. Hungry children don't perform well. But hungry children that are not eating clean food don't perform well either. And so if we can add the food to keep them from being hungry, and then we can add the nutrients back in, I think we've got a combination here that we're going to see some great results from. So we're also required by regulatory to say that we can't guarantee that any of this will help anybody, et cetera, but just anecdotally, there aren't many people that would argue that if I could get my kid to eat 5 cups of broccoli a week, that would certainly improve their health on many different levels. So we welcome comments and questions, and that's what we're looking for. I am a big fan of something called wisdom of the crowd. And so once I figured out something that I think works, then the next thing is to go to other people and see what they think. And that's where I learned most of what I've learned in the last roughly 11 years of working on this project of getting nutrition down to the point, get it so concentrated that it's accessible to people. And so right now we've got a team of professionals and practitioners that are ready to launch the project that we're calling School Nutrition 2.0. And so far, right now, we've got 2 public schools in Dutchess County that are going on the quote unquote, going on the ground broccoli in the next week, in the last 2 weeks of this 2025 school year. We've actually been using it in these 2 school systems for a couple of months, maybe 3 months, to make sure we get this thing, the bugs worked out of it. So I anticipate having webinars going forward to get more feedback and answer questions. So this is intended just to give you a rough introduction, and we'll do some more of these as time goes by, and try to keep them to 10 minutes or under, so we can do this one piece at a time. So that's it. If you're interested in joining the group, talk to us, and we'd like to put you in there. And by the way, anecdotally, so we're going to limit it. To begin with, we're looking for 10,000 students. to work this with. Now, that sounds like in some cases that would seem to be a lot of people, but Dutchess County, New York alone has 50,000 students in K through 12. New York State has 2.5 million. New York City has 1.2 million. So we're going to start this thing slow, and we're looking for a few people that want to get involved in the beginning. Okay, thanks for your time.